back to my channel. I'm here today to wrap up Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. I've already made a video talking about the first half of the book, so if you haven't watched that one yet, you may want to go and watch that one first, and I will link that in the description box down below. I really enjoyed reading this book. I think Hilary Mantel brought to life a world that is just really, really compelling in so many ways, and a viewpoint of this story that has been told before, but is being told here in just such a great perspective in Thomas Cromwell's character. I was hoping this was going to be a 5-star read for me, and it was very close to that. I would say it was 4.5 stars for me. And the reason that it didn't hit the 5 was because there was just a bit too much of the political aspect in here for me. So I am really a relationship-based, character-based reader. And I felt that the parts near the end with Thomas More's story dragged on a bit for me because Thomas More, out of all of the characters in this story, was not as realized to me. He wasn't as real. He wasn't as living and breathing for me. He felt a bit mechanical, a bit shallow, a bit frustrating, and I just didn't have the compassion for him that I had for a lot of the other characters and the connection to him. And the last, a lot of the last part of this book is about him and his refusal to bend and what that means. So so I think that kind of made the last part of the book drag a bit for me. But I still think that the series is something I'm going to continue. I will read the next book, Bring Up the Bodies, and the third book in the series. I will not read them soon because with series, I just can't read them back to back. I just don't have the... I don't want to get annoyed or bored, and so I'm going to give myself a little break from this world. But I'm still thinking about this book, and Thomas Cromwell's character is just going to stay with me. I wanted to share 2 passages in this last section of the book that I thought illustrated his character. One of them illustrates Thomas's character really, really well. And this is from the section, Alas, What Shall I Do for Love? Okay, so at this stage where we break into the story, Thomas is having a conversation with Joanne. While he's having this conversation, Richard Cromwell butts in. So this is where it gets really interesting. Richard Cromwell puts his head around the door. Master, the tower, bricks, 5 shilling the 1,000. No. Right. You'd think she'd marry a safer sort of man. He goes to the door. Richard, come back. Turns to Joanne. I don't think she knows any. Sir, get it down by 6 pence and check every batch. What you should do is choose a few in every load and take a close interest in them. Joanne, in the room behind him. Anyway, you did the wise thing. For instance, measure them. Joanne, did you think I'd get married out of some sort of inadvertence, by accident? I'm sorry, Richard says, because if you keep measuring them, it throws brickmasters into a panic, and you'll see by their faces if they're trying any tricks. I expect you to have some lady in view at court. The king has given you a new office. Clerk of the Hanaper, yes, a post in the Chancery Finances. It hardly signs the flowery trail to a love affair. Richard is gone, clattering downstairs. Do you know what I think? You think you should wait till she, that woman, is queen. I think it's the transport that pushes the cost up, even by barge. I should have cleared some ground and built my own kilns. So he's basically having 2 separate conversations at the same time with 2 different people here. And I think it just illustrates in this humorous and witty way that he's like on top of everything, and he's kind of at the top of his game right now as he's like building his way towards a really important position with the king. So I did find the building up of Thomas himself and his entrance into getting closer and closer to Henry, becoming more and more important to him, and becoming more indispensable to him, to be really fascinating. I think where the story dragged for me was where we were constantly bringing in more characters, the lords and the different aristocracy who were surrounding Henry and all of their little petty things. And I just found that part to get a little bit long for me. This section here that I wanted to read from is from the chapter called The Map of Christendom. And in my version, it's on page 610. The fate of peoples is made like this: 2 men in small rooms. Forget the coronations, the conclaves of cardinals, the pomp and possessions. This is how the world changes. A counter pushed across a table, a pen stroke that alters the force of a phrase, a woman's sigh as she passes and leaves on the air a trail of orange flower or rose water, her hand pulling close the bed curtain, the discreet sign of flesh against flesh. The king, lord of generalities, must now learn to labor over detail, led on by intelligent greed. So I just like that little passage about who really has the power in this type of a world, in any world. I mean, you look at politics today and the way political democracies are structured, and there's supposed to be this power that the people have to have a say. And the longer you go through and you see these processes, you see that it really is just a small group of people who have a say in a lot of the big things that are happening. So this was a lovely read. I really enjoyed being part of Cromwell-a-thon and watching other videos and hearing people's opinions about the book. And I want to wish everyone who's continuing on with the next 2 books a lot of luck in their reading. And I will be back again soon with another video. Thanks so much for watching.